Welcome to the Fantasy Boardroom. As always, I am your host, Tycoon. We are in episode 3, meeting 3 of the Fantasy Boardroom for the 2024 NFL season. Excuse me. Now, the mock tournament of champions is nearing its conclusion, so please make sure that you are tuned in to the Get Right channel on Friday to see the finale. We have the top 12 drafters. We had 4 semifinals. The top 3 from each of the 4 semifinals will be participating, and it should be a hell of a draft. Really, really strong drafters in there. Again, haven't been part of the grading process this year, seeing these particular participants' drafts throughout the last month or so. Very impressive. It is going to be very difficult to determine the winner, but I'm very excited for it. Now, back to business for tonight, as we are staring down the barrel of the end of draft season. If you have a home league, a work league, something like that, there's a good chance that you're not drafting until this weekend, right before the season. Especially, I know a lot of people like to wait with news that comes on days like today, roster cut down day. Still potential for more injuries in camp here over the coming days, so waiting till the last possible second. Very common in fantasy drafts, so for those of you that still have those, this one's for you. We are going to go over the best and the worst draft picks chosen by me in each round, or the first 10 rounds, in each of the major fantasy platforms. Excuse me, so ESPN, Yahoo, and Sleeper. And we're just going to jump right in. First round. Best pick you can make, and first round's kind of objective. I'm going to just start right there because really it's hard to make a bad pick in the first round short of injury, at least with who is in the top 12 of ADP this year. So really for the first round, it's just kind of who's the best value in the first round. I mean, obviously CMC, Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb, you're going to be happy no matter what. But where's the best value in the first round? And that is Justin Jefferson on ESPN at 8. A lot of people are scared off by Darnold. I implore you not to be. Injured and with a carousel of quarterbacks last year, Justin Jefferson still thrived. And Darnold, while he's not a great real life QB, he can sling the ball. Jefferson is going to get his. Do not be scared to draft Justin Jefferson in the first round. And at the wide receiver position as high as wide receiver 3. On Yahoo, the best pick in the first round is the same. Justin Jefferson, although at 7. But on Sleeper, the best pick, in my opinion, is Breece Hall with an ADP of 8. That's just crazy value for who is, for me, the RB2, and where the top tier of running backs, I think, will be a separator this year. Breece Hall, 8, killer pick. Now, the worst. There's not really one on ESPN. I agree with the top 12, even if the order is a little different. So if I had to nitpick here, I might say ADP-wise, Barkley at 10, excuse me, might be the worst. But that's only because I would take A.J. Brown or Garrett Wilson in front of him. Still happy with Barkley in the first round. Yahoo, it's the same deal. There really isn't one. The order's even more accurate for me, so there's really no bad picks 1 through 12. On Sleeper, I will say Jahmyr Gibbs is the worst first-round pick you can make. He's going with an ADP of 12. Jonathan Taylor's at 13. I much prefer Taylor. So just Gibbs. It's the only reason I go that route. In the second round, the best pick you can make on ESPN is Travis Etienne. He's got an ADP of 18 overall, but he's going behind guys like Pacheco and Derrick Henry. I have Etienne in front of both of them, and Etienne is the perfect second-round running back if you went with one of the elite receivers in round 1. Same thing on Yahoo with Travis Etienne. And on Sleeper, the best second-round pick you can make, kind of alluded to with the first-round comment, is John overall. He should be a first-rounder. The worst pick, and this is going to be universal across ESPN, Yahoo, and Sleeper, is Puka Nacua. ADP of 13 on ESPN. He just got a very little chance to pay off. He's not fully healthy right now. Kupp is. Kupp being fully healthy does limit Puka's ceiling, and I personally think Kupp is going to retake that wide receiver 1 role from him. And also when they were both healthy last year and on the field together at the same time healthy, they were both wide receiver 2s. So certainly at the top of the second round is far too rich for Puka. So on all platforms, avoid Puka Nacua in the second round. Would also throw in Kyron Williams in there. We got news today that he's, if Sean McVay is telling the truth, he's going to be returning punts. Not something that makes me optimistic about the starting running back in Los Angeles. In the third round, the best pick you can make on ESPN is Devon Achane, ADP of 31, and he's a guy I'd happily take right at the end of the second round. And he does carry some risk for sure. I mean, there's still Raheem Mostert. Mostert will get the goal line mark when they get there, but Achane can take one to the house literally anytime he touches the ball. And even with that risk, the guy has such a lead upside, league-winning lead upside, even in the third round. I'm not hesitating in that spot. On Yahoo, Debo and Cooper Kupp are both tied for me here. They're both players I'd happily take in the second, so getting that value here in the third round, give me that all day. Same thing with Debo on Sleeper. Third round pick, easy choice. The worst pick you can make in the third round on ESPN is Sam Laporta, ADP of 28. I think you're just paying for last year's production, and I think it's going to be a major challenge for Laporta to provide positive ROI here and be the tight end 2 overall as he is on the platform. He's going to do better than last season, just as good. I'm not convinced. There's a lot of mouths to feed there in Detroit. I just can't buy it. And especially because the TE position is not as elite and nothing as it has been. There are a variety of viable TEs this year. I am not burning that pick on a tight end at the top of the third round. In Yahoo, same thing. I did have Josh Jacobs there at 29, but I don't know. He's kind of creeped up. A.J. Dillon on IR for the year. Marshawn Lloyd still not totally healthy. Looks like he may be on IR to start the year. I think it's the first, 4 weeks. So wheels up, I guess, a bit for Josh Jacobs. So I'm going to take him off and stick with Laporta. And on Sleeper in the third round, the worst pick you can make is Stephon Diggs. There's just a little bit too much murkiness around the wide receiver pecking order there. If you talk to most, they tend to believe Nico was the one. Some think Tank Dell is the one, but pretty universally, most seem to view them as the top 2. So where does Diggs really fit in? I actually think Diggs is going to do well, but that's far too much risk taking him there in the third. We have our fearless CEO in the house, Rasta. What up? And Wicked Pompano, one of our top drafters around. Tycoon Talks, we listen. Yes, sir. Hopefully you got some more drafts to go. Some of this advice can help, should you agree. Now let's move to the fourth round. Fourth round. Best pick you can make on ESPN. Debo and Kupp, just like in the third round there on Yahoo. This is crazy value. ESPN's got some of the best value you can find, especially at the wide receiver position. I mean, if you can get guys like Debo and Kupp in the fourth, taking a couple running backs early is the way to go in ESPN drafts, in my opinion. Both players, again, I'd happily take in the second round, so you're getting incredible value here in the fourth. In Yahoo, similar situation, just with receivers I've ranked slightly below Debo and Kupp, and that is DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle. DJ Moore, 39, and Waddle at 40. Very, very... I mean, these are DJ Moore, I think, is going to be a wide receiver 1. Waddle's going to be a high wide receiver 2. So getting them there in the fourth round, beautiful, even at the top of the fourth. Guys that, in my opinion, should be going early to mid-third. And on Sleeper, Cooper Kupp. Dylan says, hey, Rasta, has the final for the tournament been announced yet? I believe they did make that announcement last night, but you know what? Since I am here, Dylan, let's go over that. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, Mr. Rasta, since you're here. Npoggy, JWN71, Notar, Raffy69 Bomb, Awesome Eckler, Nick Rock 21, Adam C 1883, Vince Mapstone, Lord O Fanta, and then the 3 winners that were announced yesterday on the show with Frank and Rasta, Jay Baloney 14, Breaking Ball, and Ravens Show Yo. So congratulations to all of them. Way to go. Yeah, I didn't see DCAS in there, man. I'm sorry, Dylan. You had some really good drafts throughout the tournament. I do know that. Sometimes it's just kind of the luck of the draw, too, with where you fall on a given day. If you make the semifinal and then how the semifinal goes. It's not 100% in your control, put it that way. And I did see that we have super chats now last night. I noticed the emojis. I said, this is exciting. This is real exciting. Let's go. Especially as we get in season, that's going to be helpful. So viewers, you want to get your questions at the top of the list when we've got like a crazy Friday night show in particular. Those tend to get real popping in season. Super chat will vault you to the top. Am I finding drafts on Sleeper much sharper than ESPN and Yahoo? Absolutely. It's a sharper platform in general. ESPN Yahoo is largely a casual platform. Again, home leagues, office leagues, those that are approaching degenerate level, like me, like you, anybody watching my show, clearly, yeah, probably should spend a little less time on fantasy, but F that, man. We're having a good time. So yeah, it's much sharper, much sharper. Again, like we were just talking about the fourth round here on ESPN, Debo and Cup in the fourth round in full PPR. That is just offensive, if I'm being honest. So yeah, ESPN I think is probably the least sharp. Yahoo's got some hidden value in there, but ESPN, there's crazy value all over the place. Their ADP is wackadoo. As you'll see as we continue to go through the rest of these best and worst picks by round. Dylan, yeah, if you got stuck with pick 12 regularly, I know you were at 11 and 12 a bit. Yeah, being at that turn can be tough. Just bad luck, man. Next year, though, next year, this won't stop. And you're good, so I know that you'll have a shot again next year. All right, so we went over the best picks of the fourth round. Now which, again, Debo and Cup on ESPN, DJ Moore and Waddle on Yahoo, and Cooper Cup on Sleeper. The worst picks of the fourth round on ESPN for me, CJ Stroud. If you missed, he's going at 45. That's just way too high for me. I love Stroud the player, but holy smokes. And if you missed out on that super elite tier, the Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar tier, taking a QB this early honestly doesn't provide the type of advantage that I think you're looking for by taking a quarterback early. So I think there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be at, possibly exceed his value, that are going to be available much later. Stroud is just a bad value at this stage in the draft. Do not take him in the fourth round of your ESPN draft. And in Yahoo, this is one of the worst ones, period. Rachaad White at 37. Just absolutely disgusting. If you watched last week's episode about lessons learned last year, he fit the profile of some bombs that we dealt with last year. An inefficient player with new competent competition in his position room. It's going to be incredibly hard, incredibly unlikely for him to repeat his 2023 season. Rachaad White at 37. Worst pick you could possibly make on Yahoo in the third round. And Sleeper. Or fourth round, I apologize. But just practically third rounder, 37. And then Alvin Kamara on Sleeper for me. Honestly, I actually like Kamara this year, but his ADP was a lot lower as I had been drafting him throughout the offseason. Here in the fourth round on Sleeper, while, again, he should be a PPR machine to a degree, still, in a mid offense with a mid QB, people in unit you can't trust. It's just too risky this high. You get towards the end of the fifth, early sixth, I'm way more in on Kamara, but unlikely to get him now at this stage. Fifth round, best pick you can make. Again, we're just talking wide receiver value, like a Jalen Waddle in the fifth on ESPN is stupid, and you should absolutely draft him in the fifth every single time. Just the wide receiver value on ESPN is nuts. He should be a round 3 pick for my money, and he's in line to push, again, for that high-end wide receiver 2, possibly low-end wide receiver 1 production if things break right, but high-end 2, yeah. In the fifth, yeah. All day. Yahoo. This one was a little bit tougher. The ADPs, there were no real screaming values. Remember, Yahoo's primary scoring is half PPR. We're using full PPR for Sleeper and ESPN, but half PPR for Yahoo since it's the default there. Where I ended up landing here was Malik Neighbors. He's just the only player going in the fifth round of Yahoo ADP that offers truly elite upside. he's going to be hampered by Jones, but he should give you some really great weeks. Sometimes, some weeks the superior talent is simply going to win out. So consistency will not be there, but there will be that weekly upside that at least lets you stomach this type of pick here in the 5th round. And on Sleeper, Amari Cooper at the end of the 5th round, pick 59. Love him there. All the guy does is produce. All right. ESPN, the worst pick you can make in the 5th round. Joey Burrow. Same reasoning as Stroud, really. Again, you're going to find similar production a lot later. It's just too early to burn a pick on a QB if you missed on the truly elites. And on Yahoo, David Montgomery. Now, this is not saying I'm fading Montgomery. I expect a very fine season for him, but he's being drafted in the early 5th round. Traditional RB dead zone that's just too expensive for me, if I'm being honest. I just can't deal with that. And on Sleeper, Zay Flowers. Simply because the upside is not there. We'll have a lot of short yardage, high reception. If you look at last year, it's just hard to see a path for him being like a top 18 receiver or anything like that. So for that reason, I'm simply avoiding him here in the top 60 picks. Hard to see that high ceiling. Do I think Neighbors has a chance of outproducing Harrison? I do. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think there's a chance, absolutely. I mean, with Neighbors, he's the only show in town through the air on New York. So if Jones can get him the ball and funnel him, certainly a chance. Now, we know that Murray is capable of supporting an elite fantasy wide receiver season, having done it with DeAndre Hopkins. However, Harrison does have to compete with McBride for targets. They have more capable running backs in Connor and probably Trey Benson. They're not going to be as bad of a team having to play as much catch-up, so garbage time could really be in favor of Neighbors in particular. I still have Harrison over Neighbors somewhat comfortably, but it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world if Neighbors outproduced him. Neighbors is pure stud. In a better situation, I'd have him ranked real close. All right, so we move to the 6th round. Best pick you can make on ESPN, Kyler Murray, because it's at the end of the 6th round, pick 72. And exactly the reason you shouldn't be taking somebody like Joe Burrow or CJ Stroud in the 4th or 5th. I have Burrow ranked ahead both. Personally, he's going 2 rounds later. That's the kind of QB value you want, and also offers rushing upside that Burrow and Stroud do not. Yahoo, T. Higgins at 64. This is somewhat similar to Neighbors in the 5th on Yahoo. Really just the high weekly upside. You're not going to find that level of weekly upside much later than this, going with the 64th pick on Yahoo. And on Sleeper, I couldn't even force one. There was no real screaming obvious best pick on Sleeper in the 6th round. It's kind of a gross round. Unfortunate, with your comment, Wicked Pompano earlier, little bit sharper there, and kind of shows in the 6th round because there's slim pickings. You just kind of get your guy in that round. Dual Guitar, Jordan Love in the 8th round. That's also a really good pick. Jordan Love in the 8th is great value. Far better value than Stroud in the 4th or Burrow in the 5th. All right, the worst picks in the 6th round. This is right up there with Rachaad White for me, and it's Zamir White. ADP of 67 here. Just, again, bad offense, bad QB. Probably not going to be that great of a team in general, so it's pure volume, and the guy is not efficient. Pass. Just super pass. 67 on ESPN. Same thing on Yahoo. He's at 70. F that. Want no part of it. And on Sleeper, I've been dreading having to talk about this one just because, well, you guys know how I feel about him. It's my boy, DeAndre Swift. He's going at the top of the 6th round on Sleeper. Top of the 6th round. I can't do it. Can't do it. Dealing with Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson, rookie quarterback who has 3 really good receivers. Well, I think Swift will have a fine season and be happy to draft him in like the 7th or 8th. at the top of the 6th. I think he's like 62 overall on Sleeper. Holy smokes, I just can't do it. There's still too many other good players at this point. There's absolutely no way to deal with that. And again, that just breaks my heart. Guy's a pure stud, but he's just not going to have enough volume to provide the ROI unless he's just taking it to the house every time, which he's capable of doing, but, it's not really reality. The volume is there for Z White. Is there any actual production? Yeah, that's the thing. The volume should remain. Can he hold up to that level of volume over a long season, especially when these runs are likely not going anywhere? I'm just simply not interested. Zamir White in like the 10th round, I might be interested in. That's like how far he'd have to fall for me. Right, in the 7th round, I wanted to cheat here and say Rashee Rice, but we're, again, back to reality as we were just discussing. In reality, he's launching up draft boards. He is not available in the 7th round now, and ADP just hasn't caught up yet. I mean, you probably got to get him in the 4th round these days if you really want Rice. So I wish I could say that, but I can't. So instead, I will go with Chris Godwin. He's back in the slot this year, and in the 7th round, excellent position to draft your wide receiver 3 and a real strong path to mid to high wide receiver 2 production. Very optimistic for Godwin this year. Terry McLaurin, it's not a very attractive pick necessarily here on Yahoo, but there's not a lot of screaming value in this round on Yahoo either. But it's a good opportunity to grab another really solid wide receiver for your team. Solidify that room, have some depth. Really good player. And on Sleeper, we talked about him in the last round, but Kyler Murray, got to be the best quarterback value that's on the board on Sleeper. Just 7th round Kyler all day long. And in the worst pick category, can't look over McLaurin's. I mean, I like the situation. This will probably be the best quarterback he's played with in Jaden Daniels. And while I'm not really a big Cliff Kingsbury guy, the first year for him seems to go well. The league will catch up to his offense as they always do, but I think this first year is good. I'm optimistic for Daniels. I'm high on Daniels, and McLaurin's always been a stud. So I think he's in a proper situation. Also, team's probably going to be bad again. They're going to have to be throwing a lot, especially late. Garbage time in his favor as well. And he's also going to be a guy that I think Daniels is really going to have to lean on. Who else is he going to lean on? And the worst picks. This is also kind of cheating, but I can't help it. On ESPN and Yahoo, you're starting to see defenses go off the board in the 7th round. Cleveland, San Francisco, Baltimore. Yeah, no. Just common sense for the type of people watching my channel, but I still feel like it must be said. Do not draft defenses in the 7th round. And on Sleeper, where most leagues don't play with defenses, so thankfully those don't creep into the ADP, Xavier Worthy. I understand the attraction, him in the Chiefs offense, playing with Mahomes, but best case scenario, he is the 4th receiving option for the team behind Kelsey, behind Rice, and behind Hollywood Brown. Heck, could even be behind, in terms of volume, behind running back targets. He'll get you, there will be a couple games where he has a couple long touchdown catches, things like that, and he'll look sweet, but the guy you're going to throw in on a weekly managed team? No, much more of a best ball pick. Way too heavy of a price to be drafting him in the 7th round. That's nuts. That means, depending on your draft strategy, I mean, probably worst case scenario or best case scenario, you're wide receiver 4 at that point. So, yeah, gross. Possibly even your wide receiver 3, depending on how you drafted. And we move to the 8th round. The best pick on ESPN. Raheem Mostert, baby. I know we talked about A-Chain earlier, but Mostert's still going to get his too because it's a wonderful running offense. And he's a good back. 89th pick. Not somebody I'm aggressively targeting, but I mean, there are really very few running backs this late in the draft that offer the potential that Raheem Mostert gives you. So I think he's the best pick you can make in the 8th round on ESPN. On Yahoo, David Njoku would be my favorite best pick that you can make in this round now. Especially if you missed out on that elite tier of TE, you didn't get Kelsey, you didn't get Andrews, you didn't get Laporta, McBride, Pitts, Kittle. Well, then there's David Njoku. Great in the 8th round. He's my next favorite after that elite tier, even over guys like Ingram and Ferguson, who are currently being drafted in front of him on Yahoo. So give me all the David Njoku, please. Especially pushing pick 90. And on Sleeper, Deontay Johnson. There's not a ton of great wide receiver value on Sleeper, but I think Deontay Johnson gives you that opportunity. Now, say what you will about Bryce Young, and we still, there's a lot to learn about him, but he's going to be the target monster. He's going to be a PPR machine. It's going to be like the final days of Ben with Deontay. He's just going to get aggressively targeted on these 7-yard routes, and it's going to result in beautiful fantasy points. So get Deontay Johnson there in the 8th round. And the worst pick you can make in the 8th round on ESPN, it's kind of a duo here. Tajay Spears, or both him and Pollard. Now, I expect Pollard to slightly lead this backfield, 55-45, 60-40, something like that. But if they're closer to 50-50, as I've seen a lot of smart individuals project, this is a bad spot for both of them. Neither are going to pay off here in the 9th round. So I'm kind of just avoiding this backfield as much as I can. But if I had to go with somebody, be Pollard, so it makes Spears the worst pick there in this round. And on Yahoo and Sleeper, I believe the worst pick you can make in the 8th round is none other than last year's brief hero, Zach Moss. I strongly prefer Chase Brown as far as the 2 backs there in Cincinnati. I don't think I'd touch Moss before the start of the 11th round, before pick 120. Just no real interest. They don't run the way that the Colts do, so his upside with his style of play in that offense, I think, is limited, and I also think Chase is a more talented back, and that will show in the volume rather quickly. Maybe a question for the end of the video, but is there any value for a Chargers receiver in any round? We'll take a look at that at the end. Believe in Canelo surviving that Panthers? Oh, if Bryce can do it, I agree. And it's going to be very much a Bryce Young determined situation. And I'm not quite sure why I fall on that, frankly. I'm not incredibly optimistic, but I haven't written off the kid. Too soon. Definitely a chance, though. Canales is a good coach. Very good coach. Did it with Geno. Did it with Baker. So I'd like to think he'll have some success here with Bryce. All right, the final couple of rounds that we're going to look at before we get out of here and then look at Wicket's question. Best pick on ESPN that you can make in the 9th round is Rome Odunze, ADP of 108. I think he has a real legitimate chance to break out as a rookie, and I would take him quite a bit earlier. But he's definitely worth the risk after pick 100. I mean, kind of a no-brainer. I don't believe Keenan Allen is totally washed. I mean, he had an amazing season last year, so, reports saying he's fat, he's slow, blah, blah, blah. And in preseason, it looks like he may have lost a little bit, but the guy is such a proficient route runner that I'm not incredibly concerned if he has lost a little bit of speed, because speed's never really been his thing anyways. Just, he can run the route to get open, and I don't think that capability is going to be totally lost on him. That said, I think Rome is a special player and will have the opportunity with a special quarterback to make an immediate impact. Definitely a shot I'm willing to take here in the 9th round. Same thing on Yahoo, although it's going a bit earlier at 99. Or also in Yahoo, I would say Jaden Daniels at 100 is a great best pick in that round if you have punted on QB to that point. If you said screw it to QB, take Jaden Daniels there in the 9th, you'll still be fine. And on Sleeper, Jackson Smith and Jigba would be my selection. I think it's an appropriate area to throw this dart as well. Around that pick 100 range a little bit later. It's disappointed for some last year, but I think there's a variety of factors that go along with that. A younger Lockett by a year who still started to struggle. Also, he started the year hurt. JSN did. Geno struggled with health during the course of the year. So I'm much more optimistic for year 2 for him to take a leap. Lockett, I think, is going to continue his decline, which is a shame. I'm very much a Tyler Lockett fan. Served me well in fantasy when everybody doubted him for years and he just kept putting up wide receiver 1 seasons. But sadly, those days are gone. And it is time for JSN to ascend. The worst picks you can make in the 9th round, we're going to revert back to the 8th round for some of these. Zach Moss on ESPN. Just a jag. He's got a more dynamic running back in the room. Forget it. Yahoo. Dallas Goedert. Hate him at this spot. I mean, for me, if you've punted tight end to this point, just keep going. There's still some value to be found here in the 10th round. Do not bother with Dallas Goedert, with very limited upside for you at the tight end position. And on sleeper, this might be a little controversial for some, but Brian Thomas Jr. Now, I'm slightly biased because I wasn't really a huge fan of his as a prospect to begin with. And I think he's the 3rd receiving option at best, possibly 4th behind ETN. He's got Kirk. He's got Ingram in front of him, both without a doubt. And yeah, again, ETN, I think, might even eclipse him. So he's an interesting rookie dart. Maybe a little bit later, I might be down. But 9th round, that's too early for me for Brian Thomas Jr. out of Jacksonville. And the final round we're going to cover here tonight, the 10th round. The best pick you can make on ESPN, Devin Singletary. Yeah, Devin Singletary. You heard me right. Getting a team's lead running back in the 10th, I think, is great value, even in a likely bad offense like this with Daniel Jones at the helm. Singletary is a very capable back. Much preferable to taking Zamir White in the 7th versus kind of similar situations. Not really the best back. I actually think he is better than Zamir, but that's not really the point. The point is not necessarily the best back in a bad offense with a bad quarterback, going to rely on a lot of volume. And I think that'll be Singletary's case, but I think he can do a lot more with that volume than Zamir White can. And especially with, for better or worse, Daniel Jones does have mobility, and defenses have to respect that just a little bit, which helps open things up just a little bit for Singletary. So Singletary, honestly, love him in the 10th. Killer value. Yahoo! I think the best pick you can make here is Jonathan Brooks. And again, it's just an upside play. I don't think there's a running back that offers the level of upside at this point or later than Jonathan Brooks does. Now, he is going to start the season still in the pup or IR, so he's going to miss the first 4 weeks. That was kind of expected all along. So nothing's really changed. You will have to wait for it. I mean, and I would say even the first 2 to 4 weeks that he's back, keep expectations tempered. This is really a second half of the season play, especially if you with hero RB and your RB2 is a little thin. Then you're going to need to rely on this guy in the back half and into the playoffs. League winning possible potential here, especially if Wicked is right and I'm in agreement with him. That Canales is going to revive that Panthers O. Hell yeah, there's Singletary hype. I tried to tell you guys last year with Houston, everybody kept drafting Dameon Pierce in the 4th round for some strange reason, even though a better running back came in Devin Singletary and ultimately eclipsed him. But, whatever. This time he doesn't have that obstacle. Just much worse team now, that's all. And on Sleeper, the final best pick you can make, Courtland Sutton. Kind of like Devin Singletary being the team's running back 1 still available here in the 10th. Courtland Sutton, I don't think there's any other team's wide receiver 1 that's available this late. And even if it takes some garbage time, which Denver's going to find themselves in again quite a bit, I think, Sutton's going to have nothing but opportunity to just reel in balls from Bo Nix. I don't really believe in Bo Nix, but I think he can get the ball to Courtland Sutton just enough for him to pay off 10th round value. That's for damn sure. Courtland Sutton is your wide receiver 4 or 5 at this point? Yeah, great. Sign me up. Absolutely down. That's the best thing they got. The only thing they really got after cutting it. They traded Judy. Tim Patrick's been cut. Marvin Mims sucks. Who the hell else are they going to throw the ball to? And the worst picks you can make in the 10th round on ESPN, TJ Hawkinson is my pick. Now, while similar to Brooks, he could really pay off here on the back half of the season, I think this is a little too early because while you shouldn't expect anything from Brooks until the second half of the year, you're probably not even going to see Hawk until the second half of the year. I think projections previously were around Halloween. Haven't seen a lot in the way of update. I don't think that's ever really been fully communicated, but you'd have to hold him for far too long for this to be worth it here in the 10th round. Yahoo, already discussed him around previous, but Xavier Worthy, still too early for me for him in the 10th round as a 4th option. Again, best ball selection. I might take him here, not in a managed league. And on Sleeper, Jameson Williams is my selection. Now, this is also a little bit of a biased selection by me, but I'm just not really in on Williams after the first 2 years, regardless of what the reasons are, and just a lot of mouths to feed in front of him. And actually, it kind of goes hand in hand with Laporta, because I think Jameson will get some, but do I think he's really going to be a valuable fantasy asset? No. But him being healthy and on the field every game, in theory, here is going to eat a little bit into Laporta, which is why I ding him earlier, along with other tight ends having value in the early range. But there's just too many other guys need the ball there in Detroit for me to feel comfortable about taking Williams here. Just too early. Cortland Sutton, slant boy too. Honestly, could be, man. Really could be. I can see Nick's chucking it in like that all freaking day. Who do I believe in more, Knicks or me? All right, no. Look, you may hear me slander Bo Nix throughout the year. It's probably going to happen. But Knicks or me, we're going to go with Bo Nix. See, I played receiver. I am not a quarterback. Never been a quarterback. I throw a loose spiral. My arm strength, especially here in my 30s, is probably... God, man, I don't even know how far I can throw a ball with any real velocity anymore. We had my day job's company picnic this last weekend. I threw the ball probably 15, 20 times. I already started feeling my shoulder. Man, I don't have the shoulder endurance to throw a ball. F that. So no, we're going to go with Bo Nix. Knicks are young. Oh, I was like, me? What the hell are you talking about? Knicks are young. Okay, I was going to say, look, I know sometimes we'll go far with these players, but ooh, Knicks are young. No, Bryce Young, I would still tie my bow to before Bo Nix, if I'm being frank. Not rather die. Rather die if the choice is me, but between Bo Nix, Bryce Young, give me Bryce Young. Tim Patrick, yeah, I saw he signed with the practice squad. I mean, shoot, he's missed 2 years, so as much as I love Tim Patrick, I would love to think he can push it. Kind of breaks my heart, actually, but we're probably nearing the end of the road for Tim Patrick. I hope he can hang on and at least, get that practice squad salary, bring in a little bit more money for his family. But him being an impact, no. Could he possibly be good enough just to F with JMO a little bit? Maybe, man, maybe. You're my guy, Wicked. You're my guy. Yeah, this was a fun show, man, and thank you for your participation in the chat today. It's always more fun when we got some people in here talking. We can have a little back and forth rather than just me spewing like I'm on the damn radio. So, oh wow, went a little longer this week, almost 40 minutes. Well, good. Well, now we're gonna wrap it up here. But again, please go back and listen if you need to, if you're drafting on any of these platforms. And again, especially on ESPN. My biggest takeaway from all of this is on ESPN, the wide receiver value is absolutely nuts. So if you're in a position to draft like any of those top, it's the one platform I'd be more than happy to go running back to start. If I'm in the back half, I can get, or even in the middle, say, Bijan or Brees falls to the middle of the first round and somebody like Gibbs maybe slips to the middle of the second round. Done. I can get Debo or Cup in the third, or no, they were in the fourth. Waddle was in the fifth. I mean, shoot, are you kidding me? All those guys are gone by the end of the second in a lot of the competitive leagues that I'm in, non-Superflex, of course. So, ESPN, take those running backs early and then get those receivers that have fallen late. A lot of good ones, man. A lot of good ones. One more time. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. It is the one thing you cannot buy. It is the one thing you cannot replace. It is the one thing that I am thrilled that you chose to spend some of with me. Can't wait till we can do it again next week. And I wish you luck, man. Please, again, remember to tune in to the Get Right channel on Friday for the Mock Tournament of Champions. Even if you didn't make it, it's going to be fun to watch. See what these top-end mockers do. I know I can't wait. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend and enjoy these final drafts. I know you guys are going to crush it. You're going to just absolutely steal the souls of your family, of your coworkers, of your friends. It's going to be glorious. Freaking glorious. And I can't wait till we can all celebrate it together. I know we'll be here together throughout the year. Look forward to more. Once again, thank you all for your time. Love you guys. This meeting of the Fantasy Boardroom is adjourned.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play, marking off and